Hello everyone, it's the Ranter, and today I'm going to be talking about my budget Tiamat deck. Now, Tiamat is a 7/7 flyer for 7 that cost Wooburg and 2. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, search your library up to 5 dragon cards not named Tiamat that each have different names. Reveal them and put into your hand, and then shuffle. Now, a good pairing with Tiamat is Morophon. Morophon basically gives all your 5 color dragons a 5 cost discount since they are 5 color. And another good pairing with Morophon is the Ur-Dragon and other 5 color dragons, as I said, to take advantage of this discount that Morophon will give each of those dragons. But the big problem with that is that the Ur-Dragon and Morophon aren't really budget-friendly cards, as you can see by the price. They are about $70 just for those 2 cards, which that is going to be the entire cost of his entire deck. So, this deck basically functions with the all form, is the star of the show with this deck. You may cast an instant or sorcery, and if it targets one or more permanents you control, create a token copy of one of those permanents. Now usually all form decks are mono blue, but since we're running Tiamat, it's 5 colors, so we have options to a lot of spells that we normally wouldn't have. Now, the second card is Scorch of the Draco. Now, he is a 12 mana card, but he gets discounted by 2 for each basic lands you have, which we're going to have 5 colors, so in the end, he's going to be costing around 2 mana. But his major effect is creatures you control have Vigilance if it's white, Hexproof if it's blue, Lifelink if it's black, First Strike if it's red, and Trample if it's green, which gives our creatures great keywords that we can use. But the most important one out of this is Hexproof if it's blue, and the all form is blue, which giving the all form hexproof is really useful. I shouldn't really need to tell you that. So that's pretty great. And it also gives our Tiamat all those keywords since he is 5 color. Now the third card is Spritz Dragon, a 1/1 that's flying and haste, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on Spritz Dragon. Now, this is not a really powerful card at the start, but he can get much bigger over time by the amount of instances and sorceries that we run in the deck because of the all form. But another key factor in this is that he's a dragon that is non-legendary. That means we can constantly be duplicating him with the all form, and each copy will start getting a +1 counter because you're playing a sorcery and then duplicating it and then putting 1 more counters on these creatures, and they just keep on getting bigger. On bonus, Scorch of the Draco are giving them First Strike and Hexproof, which Hexproof, First Strike, haste flyers that keep on getting bigger and you keep on getting more is pretty good. So an alternative to Spritz Dragon, or if we happen to draw Scorch of the Draco or the all form or Spritz Dragon itself, is the Morning Star. When Morning Star dies, target player skips their next untap step, tap up to 5 target permanents that player controls. Now by itself, not very powerful, but since we can use the legendary rule, it can become very powerful by the idea that you can use all form, target the Morning Star with an instant or sorcery, create a duplicate of it, and then the duplicate will die because of the legendary rule, which then you get to tap make sure they can't untap their board, and tap 5 permanents. Now, this deck runs a ton of 1 mana spells that target a creature and draws a card. So, we can constantly target the Morning Star, tapping out our opponent's cards with not allowing them to untap their cards. So, yeah, your opponents can't untap their mana, creatures, or artifacts. So that is going to, if they don't stop that, or try to exile this card, or somehow remove it, or counter it before it comes onto the field, it's going to be a big problem for our opponents. Now, our 4th card that we'll be grabbing is Tyrant of the Jund, which is a 7/7 flyer haste. When he comes onto the battlefield, gain control of all dragons, then untap all dragons. Other dragon creatures you control have haste. Now, this doesn't do us a whole lot of good, mainly that most of the time we're not going to be playing against people that have dragons. We could, but that's not really reliable. So we do have a card that we are going to search for as our 5th card that will help us, which would be Shields of the Veil's Veil, which is a tribal instant shapeshifter card, which is a changeling, so we can grab it with Tiamat. And it says creatures that target player controls get 0 and +1, which it benefits them, but that's not the main part of this card. It gains all creature types until the end of the turn. So, we can make someone's entire board dragons, and then we can take them with Tyrant of the Jugan, which they are all dragons, so we take all the creatures on someone's board. And now they all have haste, and we can attack them with it, which is a very powerful finisher for our Tiamat deck. So the cards that you are grabbing are the 5 that you see in front of you, unless you've already drawn them. So we have a few other options that you can grab if you already have these in your hand. But the deck really forms around the all-form Squirts of the Draco and Spritz Dragon to make this deck work, and having a bonus effect where Tyrant of the Jugan and Shields of the Veil's Veil is our other option of stealing someone's board. And to note, Squirts of the Draco, if you steal someone's board, Squirts of the Draco will give each of those creatures a keyword depending on what color they were. Now it's time for value. Most of the cards in this deck is going to be instances and sorceries to take value of the all form. Now, most of these spells are going to be regarding of cheap spells that say target a creature, give them an effect, and then draw a card. There will also be cards that you can pay extra mana to target multiple creatures, which can give you multiple copies of a permanent, which you can be most of the time be Spritz Dragon, which you can make 5 or maybe even more. So there's also some instances that are changelings, which we can grab them with Tiamat if we already have one of the 5 pieces that I discussed earlier. And these cards can either exile a creature, creatures a player control can get -2/0, or Blades of the Veil's Veil, which is up to 2 target creatures gain +2/0, and they gain all creature types, which can give us 2 duplicates of 2 creatures on our board. Now we also have some ramp spells, which is Regrowing Growth. Sacrifice a land and search for 2 basic land. There will be many more sorceries in the deck that will be ramping towards our Tiamat, but there's also cards, as I showed before, that are target a creature, draw a card, or a shapeshifter that can target, or a very good instant in the ability of any number of target creatures become a color of your choice until the end of turn, which you can combo that with the Scorch of the Draco, giving them key effect. But also, what's more important, you're drawing an extra card, which can cycle, and you can choose any number. If you have 5 creatures, you can get 5 more just by paying 2 mana. Now, Unwind is a very good spell by the mere fact that you can counter a non-creature spell and untap 3 lands, which those lands can be duplicated with the All form. Now, Energy Arc is another good example of any number target creatures are untapped, and those creatures neither receive nor are dealt combat damage this turn, so it can be a protection spell, but it could also mainly be used for duplicating more creatures. And again, there are more cards with Strife, which is you can pay more mana to cast it more beyond the first. So there's cards for that. There is Rewind, which is similar to Unwind. Now, there's also some more ramp cards in this deck, and also, again, more cycling cards. And also, we can duplicate more lands with Frantic Search. Draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, but the most important part, untap 3 target lands, which gives us 3 duplicate lands. Now, in the sorcery department, we have more spells that can ramp us towards Tiamat, and we have more sorcery spells that can target a creature to duplicate them with the All form. Now, the All Sun's Dawn is a card that for each color return up to 1 target card for each color from your graveyard to your hand, exile it. Now, this is one of our retrieval spells since we are in 5 color, and it's just pretty handy to be utilizing some extra value by grabbing our sorceries or instances from the graveyard and being able to reuse it. So it's just kind of in the deck for extra card advantage and being able to reuse our key sorceries and instances. Now, Regrowth and Treasure Find are cards that can get us a card from our graveyard and put it into our hand, which Treasured Find will be exiled, but that's okay. Now, these cards are just simply in the deck for the same reason as the All Sun is in the deck, that we can grab some key cards from our graveyard. So we also have more ramp spells, and we also have more targeting spells that draws a card and can create our creatures being unblockable, or giving Swamp Walk, which is unblockable towards someone with a swamp on their field. And we also have some cards that can give a card advantage and can duplicate our lands by untapping the lands and then creating 2 more of them. Now, this deck runs 9 artifacts, which are signets and talismans, the cheapest ones that are on the market. No, I'm not just picking random colors and saying, oh, this one looks nice. Some of these ones are cheaper than some other signets that are on the market just by reprintings and what color combinations are sought after. This deck also runs 1 enchantment just because it's a good mana ramp spell to get our Tiamat out. Now, the deck comes around the price of an Ur-Dragon and Morophon for $73 for the entire deck. So, I hope that this was a interesting, cool budget idea. Now, again, I ask Commander Quarters if you like this idea, or if this video reaches you, or somehow you find out about this. I would love to see Commander Quarters try to do a Tiamat all form kind of deck where you're copying your creatures and making multiple duplicates of whatever he kind of thinks that this deck would benefit from. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was interesting, and have a lovely day.